Hello everybody and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. I'm starting this one slightly differently today because I'm going to let you all in on a secret. So a lot of the time the way that I choose which decks to play is basically I come to untap.gg depending on whether I'm playing Standard or Alchemy at the time, whatever I'm feeling like, and I look at what the win rate of the day is. And what I then do is I disregard this completely and I try to find a colour combination that is not represented here that I fancy playing. So you'll notice I don't play a lot of Rakdos Sacrifice because it is so broken in Alchemy. I have played the odd time, but not recently. I'm not playing any goblins, I'm not playing mono white aggro, not playing black control. Red I did release a video on, but I feel like I'm partly to do with why that's being so popular. But anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, I try to find something that is completely not in this list, and if possible, not in this list as well. I don't want it to be something that's traditionally good, because then you guys can just come on untap.gg yourselves and find that good deck. What I'm trying to do is find decks that are not these decks. So the colour combination that I have chosen to go with today, as you may have guessed from the description and thumbnail, is... and will my... yes, it will refresh, is this one, Dimir, and the deck is A-Lier plus Invoke equals joke. The reason that I am saying this deck is a joke is because we are focusing around this combination of Invoke Despair. This card needs no introduction. 5 costing, opponent sacrifices a creature, enchantment and planeswalker. For each one they can't, they lose 2 life and we draw a card, plus A-Lier, letting us replay cards out of our graveyard. The reason that I think Dimir could be good at the moment is that there's been a huge rise in mono red, as we just saw from the statistics. So being able to play Tasha and Sheoldred and Cut Down seems like a pretty good set of cards for us to mess around with, and then putting that in an Invoke Despair and A-Lier framework seems fun to me. So A-Lier, for those who don't know, in Alchemy is slightly nerfed in that you can only use the cards in your graveyard on your own turn. That doesn't bother us too much because typically what I want to flashback is Invoke Despair. I'm not too worried about any other cards. Occasionally Cut Down will be helpful, but generally I'm using it for Invoke Despair. So the ability doesn't matter, the nerf in Alchemy doesn't matter too much. Just going to run through the rest of the deck. So unusual cards that we're playing. Geist of Regret. So this one I've been wanting to actually make work for a little while. This is a 5 costing 5/5 flying spirit. And when it enters the battlefield, you put a random instant card from your library into your graveyard. You then put a random sorcery card from your library into your graveyard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So obviously, the idea here is we have the Geist and A-Lier down, and then we copy Invoke Despairs out of our graveyard. That's our ultimate endgame. It's kind of a nice to have. The main thing that we're doing with Geist is using its other ability to put a random instant and sorcery into our graveyard. We are only running 4 sorceries in the deck. Those are our 4 Invoke Despairs. So when we play Geist of Regret, we will always get an Invoke Despair in the graveyard. Thus, if we ever play A-Lier, we have instant access to Invoke Despair. What this is sort of doing is making it more likely that we're able to play an Invoke Despair. Well, that's what I'm hoping. It's also going to put a random instant in there, which is also nice of A-Lier. I mean, our instants are 4 Cut Downs, 2 Vesuvan Mist, which I'll come back to, 2 Bind to Secrecy. Bind to Secrecy is just counter on creature spell or get a duplicate of a creature in an opponent's graveyard. This is basically if they have a Sheoldred or A-Lier of their own in their graveyard, I want to get it, great, otherwise it's going to be countering stuff for us. Vesuvan Mist is a new Dominaria Alchemy instant, so this is a 2 costing return target non-token and non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So note that works on our stuff, it works on planeswalkers, it works on anything non-land. Obviously non-token is annoying, but it is what it is. If this spell was kicked, conjure a duplicate of that card into your hand, and then you can spend mana of any colour to cast it, and the kicker is 2, 1 and a black. So for 4, we can bounce something and get a copy of it into our own hand. For 2, we can just bounce something. This could be used to protect our own Sheoldreds and A-Liers, or it can be used to buy time to get to find these in our own deck. So far, I've been relatively impressed with this card. It seems like quite a fun one to play with. It's very flexible in the fact that it can save our own stuff. It can bounce planeswalkers or annoying stuff. Like, I've had cases where people are getting close to ultimating a planeswalker. I don't have like any direct planeswalker removal in here because I'm not running any of the 3 costing, you know, like exile creature or planeswalker or anything like that. So this one seems quite good at getting rid of those in those like, tough situations for me, and I can get a copy of it if I want it. That can be quite nice. Cut down, I talk about a little bit during the video, but basically I had to increase this to a 4 of because of all the mono red everywhere. We need to be able to get rid of that, and we need to be able to survive to be able to play our Invoke Despairs. The rest of the deck is a bit of a mishmash of what I would call good blue and black cards, aside from Vohar, Vodalian, Desecrator. So this is a blue and a black, and it is a new Dominaria card, not an Alchemy card. But you probably won't have seen it played very much because it's a bit weak. But if it can work in any deck, this is the deck, so I'm going to give it a go. So this is a legendary Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. It's a 1/2 for 2. Tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Well, we can cycle instants and sorceries we don't need out of our hand. You know, sometimes we won't need Bind to Secrecy, sometimes we won't need Cut Down. Yeah. And then it has 2, sacrifice Vohar. You may cast instant or sorcery from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. So obviously the idea here is that if we don't have our A-Lier, but we have an Invoke Despair in our graveyard, we can we can sacrifice Vohar and then play Invoke Despair. Note we can only do this if we have 7 open mana, so it is quite a hard requirement, but it does pair well with the Geist of Regret, which is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard, copy that spell. So we could be paying 7 to cast this twice, which then sounds nice and good value. The reason that it's actually hard to find things to pair with Geist of Regret. A lot of effects that cast off out of your graveyard, they say exile the card and then you may play it from exile. So that doesn't actually trigger Geist of Regret, which you have to play it directly from your graveyard, which is why A-Lier and Vohar are kind of the best ways to trigger this that I've seen. Although, if anyone's got any better ideas, please do let me know the cards, because I'm finding it hard to actually find anything that lets me play them from the graveyard, and nothing in the current Alchemy naturally has flashbacks. So anyway, that's why we're trying Vohar out. On top of that, we have 1 copy of Imoen, Trickster's Friend. This is there as a little trial again. So this came out in the Baldur's Gate Alchemy set, but I think I've always thought that the card had a little bit of potential, and I want to play it because we're playing Kaito. I do want 1 or 2 creatures to be able to swing with. Having Kaito to be able to draw cards rather than draw and discard is quite nice. And so we're trying Imoen out again. So this is a 2/1 that can't be blocked as long as it's attacking alone. We don't have loads of creatures, so it's likely to be attacking alone. So it is a clock that puts damage on the opponent. Anything that can whittle our opponent down can be nice in an Invoke Despair deck. I'm not saying this is an ideal choice, I don't know yet. We're going to have a little play around. Note we do have the option to specialise it into the Occult Trickster, which lets us create 2/2 black zombies by exiling things from our own graveyard, or the Wily Trickster, which lets us keep an opponent's creature tapped down. That can actually be the more helpful of the 2. 1 Raven Man, which is when anyone discards something, we get to create flying birds, again whittle down for Invoke Despair, and we've got both these planeswalkers that facilitate quite a lot of discarding, as well as Vohar. 1 Viconia, the Nightsinger's Disciple. This is probably what I should just have 3 of instead of these other 2 creatures, but I'm just doing 1 for now. I think I might change it to be 3 of, because the blue-black Viconia is really, really, really good, because Viconia basically lets us exile things from a graveyard. That comes in handy all the time if we're playing against a deck like our own, if we're playing against any kind of reanimator deck, if we just want to force them to give us better creatures out of their graveyard with Tasha, which I can just go over in a second what I mean by that. This being able to selectively exile stuff from a graveyard is great. And then having Viconia, the Disciple of Arcana, as an option to specialise into. So when the specialisers choose up to 1 target creature and up to 1 instant or sorcery from the cards exiled with this creature, conjure a duplicate of both of them into your hand, and you can then play them without having the right mana. So basically, if we exile from our own graveyard and Invoke Despair, and a Sheldred. If we specialise this, we will then be able to replay those cards. We can exile stuff from our opponent's graveyard that we want. So if they play particularly useful instants and sorceries, or particularly useful creatures, we can get copies of those. You know, it's actually a really nice card advantage trick to have. You have to discard one to specialise, but you get 2 in return. All the other specialisations of Viconia only give you 1 card back. So yeah, it seems pretty nice to me in the blue decks. Then we have 3 copies of the Meathook Massacre, not banned in Alchemy. People seem to be playing decks where they think it's banned in Alchemy. You see a lot of like creature-based decks around at the moment. But yeah, 3 of this because we need board wipes. This is the best one. 3 Liliana, 2 Kaito, 2 Sheldred, and then 3 Tasha. So just to mention, like I said about the Tasha, her -2 is target opponent puts a creature card of their choice from their graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So if we are killing a bunch of the opponent's things, we can exile all but the best one and then trigger this ability. So there's a nice little synergy between Viconia and Tasha there. Obviously the main purpose of this is the +1 against things like mono red or Cabaret Revel's creatures decks, because we want to be able to buy time for them to be whittled down by Sheldred and then be able to Invoke Despair them. And that is the deck really. We are running 26 lands in here, which is about the right spot. I mean, we could maybe run 27, but I don't really want to cut anything out of here at the moment. It's a possibility we could cut one of these creatures, but for now I'm going to run it as it is. I'm going to have some games and see how we get on. Alright, it's time for some fun games. Brilliant hand. Happy with this one. Trick our opponent into thinking we're Esper. Yeah, we'll put this one down as well. Now they're like, what the fuck? Esper Grixis, mono black. Underdog, fine.
Something suspicious is going on. And for once it's not mine.
Get rid of that.
Haven't you ever heard
Into Tasha looks pretty good to me. Got their own Liliana, that's fine.
Happy to help, but I don't.
Get rid of our spare Tasha, I think. God, there's always too many decisions for black blue DMU decks, that's why I don't play them. We force them to give us one of their creatures.
You're on. I am ending it here.
But we're probably better off forcing them to deal with Tasha, to be honest.
Keep your distance, mortals. We all have things we'd rather.
Invoke Despair in the bin, that's nice. Viconia. Exile Tasha, fine.
Drop it.
Do you know what? I think ditching Sheldred is actually the best thing to do here. So we plus this, we'll then kick like this. And I think I'll plus and then ditch the Otawara.
Don't overthink things.
So now the only thing they can really do is play a land and then hit us with Underdog to try and damage Tasha. That's it. And they had to top it land to do that.
What a talented little thing.
We're going to be forced to sack half our permanents though, which is slightly worrying. So, let's play that as a land. Let's get a creature.
Thanks for the helping hand.
Let's make make them discard one of their 2 cards, and then let's see what choice they give us for the sacking. If they got another Invoke Despair, that would be brutal. That is brutal. Let's ditch Tasha. We can make them discard a card unless we have to sack this. Why would they do that? They really want to keep their Liliana? That costs 2, so we can't do it this turn.
Don't overthink things.
So they want to be able to ult the Liliana and keep it. It's greedy.
I've always hated queens.
Alright.
The wrong necromancer.
Can I have an Invoke Despair now? I've got 4 in my deck as well. No. But we can have a Tasha. So we can make them give us a creature.
Too many witch hunters just to lure us to you.
The thing is, they could just make a sack at Liliana, then hit our Planeswalkers. So I think for now we'll plus and plus.
Give it your best shot, adventurer. You won't be outsmarting me.
Just another underdog. So they should attack Liliana because they don't get minus counters for doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that's my cue to leave.
Managed to get rid of all their cards out of their hands so they can plus their Liliana again safely. I just want to top and Invoke Despair. I mean, I've been waiting for one for ages now. That is not one. Let's get a creature and then shoulder it, and then they can't make us sack both unless they get another Invoke Despair. Or unless they ult their Liliana finally. Looks like it might be happening. No. All I can believe is that they have a holding and Invoke Despair again then. Maybe not. Just want to kill the Tasha. Okay. Then they're not. They haven't got Invoke Despair.
My revenge will be served.
Have they got a way of killing Shieldred? No, but they've got a blocker. Let's try this. Yep, just going to block with that. So we can play the Leer. What have we got in our graveyard? Cut Down and Mist. I think we would sack the Leer if they minus their Liliana, to be honest. Because everything else that they do makes them draw cards.
Off you go.
Which until they get removal for shoulder, it's going to be painful for them. Because that underdog costs you 4 life just to flash back at the moment, because they draw off of it. Alright, another Leer. It's nice. Not as nice as an Invoke Despair, but forces them to kill the Liliana probably. Because they're not going to want us to have access to these spells. This Shieldred really puts them in a tough place. They don't want to evolve this because it costs 3 life for 1 card. Hoping we sack the Shieldred, but I'm not going for it. No, I'm not going for it, boy. I'm not taking the bait. Leave me alone. Yeah, you can get that one to a 3/3 as well, but you can't draw with it. Can't make it any bigger. Geist of Regret. Keep topping 5 costing things that are not Invoke Despair. 1 Invoke Despair going in the graveyard now, but we only run that as our only sorcery. But we've got a 5/5 flyer that they've got to deal with as well now. By their next turn. Or not, they'll buy us up a turn. Yeah, fine. I have no need to block. It's going to cost you all your life. GG. That's nice. Fun one. Let's go again. Alright, next one. I am Shade. Not as nice as the last hand, but acceptable. Especially into mono red, having one of the cut downs is nice. Don't want too many blue sources, but this one we can use as bounce. At least we can still cut that down, but they are getting in for a hit. See if there's anything we want to cut down more. Ambergris. Not that for sure. Not that. Let's get rid of this one. Okay, with Kaito for a 1/1 blocker. Yeah, I had to figure that was coming, but now, do we Tasha or do we Shieldred? Tasha is probably more safe because of Traumatic Prank. Shieldred is very weak to that. Obviously it depends what their last card is in hand, but I think this is a guaranteed loss with Prank. I can't think of anything this is a guaranteed loss with. That is a nice card. Let's ditch this. Okay, digging for a card onto the bottom. Guess they want to ride you, would be the best card for them. So we'll have to plus Tasha again, in case there's any hasty stuff coming our way. I think we might minus that after Meathooking. In case there's a hasty Raiju coming. It's the only thing I think that could beat us next turn. Or hasted anything because of this methods that has more than 1 toughness. Even that, yeah, would have beat us. Obviously they could top a lightning bolt or something, or just burn to remove this, to be honest, would have done it, but they didn't, thankfully. Now I might get a turn to put my Shelly in. That stops us ulting Tasha, but no, we don't want to minus. They could just give us a chick, which we don't want.
Don't try anything cheeky now.
Just don't have a shock, please. Come on, mono red. Play it out. You could top a shock. But I guess they'll need 2 shocks and then, yeah. Too difficult. GG. Alright. Ugly. See if we can get ourselves back into the glory numbers. Not a lovely hand, but Xander. Even though this is a special land and this isn't, I'd always put the black ones down first in case we draw multiple islands. Yeah, like this. I want the chance to have as many black lands down as possible. We will minus our Liliana on that. We don't want any ramp into a Wing Grace or something. Get in for 2. Got our 10 turn clock. Well, now a 9 turn clock. I wouldn't have bothered grasping that if I were you, but what do I know? I think we'll go with this. Could make them give us a lone speaker, but I think I will just plus. Because we can always force them to sack something bigger. This is quite a brutal Planeswalker combo, isn't it? Ooh. That is quite annoying. So they will be minusing that for 4. There's no way they're letting us keep what we've got. So I don't think we want to make ourselves discard anything. No, let's just end. They have to -4. They want to get rid of Tasha, so unfortunately Liliana is a byproduct.
You know, dueling used to be fun.
See if our Shelly can stick around. Nope. Another grasp. Even if we top black, we can't afford this now because of our blue. I'll see if we can find some land.
There are many secrets I don't.
That's nice.
There's no secret I can't tell.
Now next turn, if we draw black, we can play Invoke Despair at least. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. Let's minus Kaito now, so we can start actually drawing with him.
Your defenses aren't even there.
They've not got lots of creature removal left, I wouldn't think. Alright. More Khan Silex, eh?
Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
I don't actually, I mean... They're not hugely incentivized to use this because this can just hit Kaito. But similarly, I don't want to give them either of these things with it. We could Meathook for 2. We could just flash back the underdog though, rather than do anything else. Let's just leave it for now. I mean, that 1/1 is a 7-turn clock on them. But at the moment, the board is better for them, isn't it? So
Time to go.
could always conjure a Sheldred out of their graveyard into my hand and play that. That'll force them to Silex. Or we can just counter that, I suppose. I'm better off getting a Sheldred, I think. Force them to use the Silex. they Silex for 4, they're not doing a lot else in a turn. I think we'll cycle that in response to gain a little more life and hold it open for now just to not give them any real easy clear options. Really do have to think about playing around those Silexes, eh? That's their Meathook gone as well, which is quite nice. Loam Speaker, fine. And their graveyard, they've got an underdog still, which is a bit annoying. So this leaves us with 3. So we could bind a creature out of their graveyard again. That's it though. Can't afford to invoke. Maybe we could do this and plus. Might be better off doing this because I don't know that they have removal, and if we can be able to, ooh, yeah. This could be nice to get rid of the underdog. Search your library for a non-legendary card, put it in your graveyard. Not that helpful. That is our best option. Yeah, if they can't kill the A-Lier, we can then get an Invoke Despair, which will basically win us the game. See, this is what I figured was coming, and now we can exile the underdog, stop them getting a card. That seems like the right play. GG. Oof. That was slightly tougher, but we got there. Next game. Haze Dog Face. This is expensive. I maybe can't keep that. This is better. We've got Vohar. I haven't actually really utilised this that much so far, which probably says it's not very good, but we're going to give it a chance this game. Do some drawing and discarding and yeah. Oh. That's a surprise. Maybe I should be playing that Saga instead. That's a bit annoying. I'd like to play this next turn and get a copy of something, but this is looking a bit painful, so we'll put that back in their hand, I think. Our wildest start, but it's about to get better. Draw a few cards. Could get ourselves a Ward 2 Shakedown Heavy. Straight Transform. Make yourself a target doing that.
Right? And you think you can win? Sacrifices must be made.
So we can specialise this for cheap. No, we can't. Alright, let's make them give us something.
May the best mage win. Oh, I'll be taking that.
Hope they haven't got an Invoke Despair. They always have more. Like, I don't understand. Every game I play, they get more of them than me. Every single game. Like, I'm running 4. We've run the same amount of cards, roughly. I don't understand. But it's Geist of Regret. It's a 5/5 flyer at the end of the day. Please tell me you do not have more Invoke Despairs. except a Meathook for 5. At least you had to lose one of your own creatures too. We can start making you empty that hand out now.
Enough with the mysteries.
They definitely would have invoked Despair if they had it, so... Cruelty of Gix in the bin. Everything else must be good. Let's make them sack and then invoke Despair because we want to be drawing. And we're not going to draw one for enchantment because of this. This is getting cycled. Okay. Just giving me things to kill with Liliana, I suppose. Can't really compete with the Toxrill, so let's get rid of it.
Sacrifices must be made.
So they've got a sleeper to give us now with Tasha, but I think we'll still take it because we can draw with it. Or they can give us something bigger. I mean, sleeper with ward is actually pretty good. Any more Invoke Despairs yet? You've gone through 20 cards, you probably drew your third one. That was an interesting choice. They know what it does, it's in their deck. Alright, keep going. I'm not sure, well, that was a big series of misplays from our opponent, but...
Don't try anything cheeky now.
We'll keep the other Tasha, just in case. Hourglass Coven. Goodness. I mean, I'm not too worried because they're going to have to block this. Yeah, we'll do this now for one more. So what have we got in here? Invoke Despair, Cut Down, and Mist. Let's play this first. Then we'll attack. Okay, so if we level this up, this one will be a 2-2 because the main one's going to die. And then we can cut down this remaining one. We do take 3 damage, but can take another creature.
I'll be taking that.
We don't even die to Invoke Despair because we've got Creature and Planeswalker. And I've got a counter spell. I can't counter anything though because of Leer. That's not great. They're going to have to block, but then we die afterwards. None of these are helpful apart from Shieldred, are they? This is what I was after. So we're going to die to Meathook. So if they block this, we get in for 3, but they'll make us draw with this, which is not helpful. We die, so we can't attack with the heavy. Unless we play our own Shieldred first. but their trigger still goes on first, so we still can't attack with the heavy. Do we have any way of gaining life? If I do the... if we Meathook... no. This is going to cost us life. Oh, we can put the Sheldred in their hand. Then play our own. And then Invoke Despair. That will gain us some life. And... okay. Just had to think my way a little bit at the end of that one. It was close, but we got there. Turns out that having blue in your deck does help. Okay. Okay. Need to draw some lands, but... adversary... we still don't have lands. I think I'll put this in as a blocker. Not going to be discarding anything anytime soon, but... okay. Saved us having to deal with anything else. We can only really hold for Mist. This isn't doing anything. Gatekeeper on the instant, yeah. Okay, well I didn't draw a land, so we'll just get rid of the Gatekeeper. Yeah, that's 3 more damage. So we could play this out, but it's probably going to get removed because they've got 3 damage in the bank. Just pranked, which is still pretty bad. But at least we're going to gain some life. 1. Where are my lands? Might as well attack the Sheldred because can't block anyway. At least their 3 damage got taken out of the bank. I mean, if they just take the Imoen with a prank and hit us, we die. No, they can't do that. Okay. Actually removing the Sheldred now. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I think we have to Invoke Despair. We are then going to take at least 2 next turn, but... yeah. I suspected it could be a good game. Oh, it's not actually a good game yet then. Do we have a way of winning this? No. Yeah. The only way for us to really beat the mono reds on the draw, like that game was, is to have the cut downs. And sadly, although we had 3 in our deck, we didn't get them. So I just checked the meta stats on untapped.gg, and it looks like at the moment 34% of the meta is mono red, another 11 is mono black, and another 10 is sacrifice, with another 10 being mono red goblins. So over 50% is sort of things that cut down is good against. So I removed 1 Vesuvan Mist, lowering us to 2 of those, and added 1 cut down to just to try and give a bit more early game protection against those decks, because we're winning late game. Like the games that we've taken late, we're winning. So it's just to try and give us a bit more of an edge in the early game. So it's a slight tweak. Mini Journey, so are we against like a Defiler deck or something here? Possibly. I mean, the Despairs should be good. Let's see what happens this turn. If we get rushed by a trampling haster, like a Lupine, whatever it's called, or... No. That's good. Then we can attack. Lupine Harbinger or Elven World Oddity were the two I was thinking of. Draw. Haven't got the next land, but we've got more draws to try and get it. That is 3/3, right? Yeah, so we can't cut that down. That's the oddity. Can't cut that down either. After adding the fourth cut down, we then run into mono green, where cut down really is not as good. There's one of our draws to find the fourth black land gone. And we get a blue land for our troubles. Okay. Well, I'll put the Geist of Regret in, because it is actually a good blocker. Gets a cut down out of the deck as well, I suppose. I mean, it doesn't look guaranteed, but odds are. The ramp is starting to happen. I mean, we can Meathook for 3. We need to, if we draw a land, it's probably worth Meathooking for 4. We did not draw a land. Get the number of creatures down, these invokes become better, so...
No more distractions.
And if they do have a Defiler or something, we take a little less damage if we get rid of some of the creatures first.
Off you go.
You never know, they might be running Quirion Beast Callers or something. This might not have 0 uses. Ascended Pack Leaders. Tenacious Pups. Could just be wishful thinking. That's quite brutal. I'm not catching that with a Meathook Massacre anytime soon. So, I think we do Massacre still for 4. And then that takes them to 1 creature, which we can then have a chance of dealing with. I should have attacked with both if I'm doing this. That was quite a mistake. Ugh, that would have been an even bigger mistake. If only I could cut this down as well. I think I'll ditch the cut down.
I'm tired of your secrets.
They'll probably attack Liliana, but that is okay, depending on what else they play. Geist down. Not really wed to the Geist. I mean, it's nice with Lear, in fairness. Could double play and Invoke Despair if we were allowed to keep them both, but it is a pipe dream.
It's no fun when they hit back.
Get this ball rolling. As a big green creature player, you don't want to see 1 against black decks, because you know what's coming. Still got our cut down to get rid of anything small. Got 2 in the graveyard already, so we've drawn 3 of them, and they've been useless so far. Cure. They'll probably take the spirit left over, but at least they're taking 4 damage and we're drawing 2 cards. They must have a bloody expensive hand. They're only playing one thing a turn. That is 10 damage for us. At least we can get rid of the unnatural growth. It's quite interesting we now have a Meathook and Cut Down in our hand. Should have played Shoulder at first for 2 more life back. Never mind. Should get away with that mistake, but not guaranteed. This is also a card that green hates. I mean, the Bite Down is good, but the Tail Whip, or whatever it's called, no good. Ah, a natural Cut Down target. They want more mana. They've already. There must be a Titan. So we can afford this and Invoke Despair now, right? Yeah. Can't afford Cut Down as well, though. Maybe we Meathook for 2 and then Cut Down the Oddity. We can actually use these Meathooks for something. And get in for 2. They're going to go to 1 during their turn. Titan could bring them back from the brink, if that is what they want the 7 mana for. Or if it's just to transform Oddity, then nah, it is a Titan. But we've now got the Invoke Despairs from the graveyard with A-Lier, so GG. Got a whole host of them in there, all 4 in the top half of the deck. I was just complaining that never happens to me. Well, it's happened to me. I'm afraid that is not going to save you. I can afford 2 of these, so... GG. We should beat green, and we did, so that's nice. Alright. Hassa West, we played against you in the last video, I think. Or maybe not. Definitely played against you before. Let's hope you're playing mono red. Could be Gruul. Vodalian Desecrator. No block. Yeah. Having double Cut Down against mono red is exactly why we put 4 copies in the deck. Oh, don't want my Desecrator around anymore. How about Tasha? I mean, removable with another Molten Impact or Enthusiasm, but still. Or even just that.
I can find my way out of. I bet you think you're so.
I wish I had that Invoke Despair now. Put the wrong thing in the graveyard, but never mind. That's fine. That's sort of fine. There is an Invoke Despair. They'll just sack the chick, but such is life. Massacre's nice. We're still quite high on health, higher than our opponent. They don't want to ditch their hand. I'm not keen on ditching this. kills Liliana.
Fine. I'll take my zombies and leave.
Target card in an opponent's graveyard. Do we want an ambergris maybe? Since we're out of stuff to do. At the end of the battlefield, look at the top 3, put any number in your graveyard and put the rest back on top in any order. Curious. So we'll just bounce something, I think. It's probably a Raiju or something nasty coming. Ooh. We'll bounce our own thing. We don't want it being pranked. Okay. I think we want the cut down, then Liliana, then Leah. I think that is exactly how we want it. Oh, I seem to have got it in a different order than what I requested, but could still die to another prank, maybe. That is quite annoying. I should have cut this down before he attacked. I mean, this is going to let me cut everything down, right? I think I got 3 cut downs in the graveyard, so... Yeah. Even a prank won't win. It has to be a lightning strike, or whatever it's called. Which, there's one in the graveyard, so adversary also wins. Oh, for God's sake! I was just thinking that there's... What a joke. What an absolute joke. To say that that last game was frustrating, I guess, is an understatement, but I have gotten over it now. God, that was bad. Oh, man. How painful. Let's run the play. So nearly won against mono red again. Just, they always find a way, don't they? They always find a way. I think this Desecrator may have to go. I'm not sure, but I just feel like its second ability, which is the one that's in the deck for, we never use. And it is only a 1/2. It's so easy to remove. Yeah. Better off just turning it into like a tainted... No. Whatever the card is that they should draw 2 and put one in the graveyard. I mean... They're keen to remove it, but... yeah. Good old Shieldred. Got any more Brutal Cathars hanging around in there? Welcome, Vampire. Start the pain train before the A-Lier pain train arrives afterwards. Would like some cut downs, but I didn't find any in there. We're definitely the beatdown at the moment. Opponent's clearly on some kind of like Revels deck or similar. Oops. Yeah, Inquisitor Captain. It's like the old life gaining Revels deck is what it feels a bit like. Rassard the Monk Saloon. Wouldn't mind my Meathook about now. Let's play A-Lier and see if we can get it to stick, shall we? I mean, we could Tasha, they can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's play Tasha. Don't want a welcoming vampire.
When I win, I'd love it. Don't try anything cheeky now.
We haven't got anything cheap in here, have we? No, just those. Oh, where is the... Please, where is the Meathook? I mean, they're just crippling their board by doing this, so...
Look at you. That actually hurt.
We have got a spare A-Lier.
Don't come any closer.
Uh-oh. Not quite got enough creatures to make it deadly yet. And at least they can't attack with 3 of them. I hope they forget that and just give me back the Sheldred. That would be nice. I guess I just kill this.
You got lucky, that's all.
I would like my Meathook now, please. Or at least a cut down. There is a cut down. So we can mist the Jetmir when they attack, and we can cut down something. Probably the Rassard to get back a Sheldred. What are you touching my A-Lier for? That would remove trample off of everything as well. Let me bounce this. So. I think they're going to have to attack because it's the only real move for them, but they must be suspicious. Yeah. So we can cut down this first. We can then invoke Despair, so they have to sack something else. They're better off just giving me back that shit creature, to be honest. And then we can put this back in their hand just to slow them down a bit. This is going to flip. Actually, no, it's not. 'Cause 7. They can't take the 2 damage off Sheldred if they don't block. So that should be game in one way or another. Oh, that was so brutal. They were 1 life off just being able to take it. Let that flip, put Sheldred under there. Okay, yeah. Because of A-Lier, we get to play all of our Invoke Despairs twice, though. GG. If only they can't... Yeah, they just die. Oof, I didn't even need the Meathook against that deck. Victory. Okay, so to have a quick look at the stats of how we did, obviously you saw on the video that we did win quite a few. I have currently actually played 18 games with this deck with a 78% win rate. This is all in Mythic, this is all on the Alchemy ladder, so that is a pretty darn good win rate actually for best of one. It's hard to get a lot higher than high 70s because you're always going to lose some to getting land screwed, you're always going to lose some to the opponent just going off on a perfect, you know, curve out on the play as mono red or something. The games aren't the shortest, it is quite a long game deck, so one that you have to think about, one that you have to play through quite a bit with. As you can see by the stats, at the moment we're only coming out even against mono red. I did tweak the deck and added more cut downs to try and deal with this. Could be that we need to go even further in that direction and make it slightly less late game, slightly more early game to deal with that, particularly when we're on the draw. This matchup can be difficult. I mean, that is the case for any deck, but particularly ones that don't run good blockers, that is the case. But I think this is probably, my feeling is that this is slightly unfair. I reckon we're probably 60 to 70% against mono red, but I need to play some more games against it and see how it pans out. All the other colour matchups that we've had, especially the black and green, yeah, green you'd expect to be no problem because we've got loads of removal in here, and black, we're just like an enhanced version of mono black. That's how it feels like it plays out. There's just that extra value of being able to replay stuff from the graveyard. That's what the blue sort of splash does for us. Yeah, I would expect us to beat black, to be honest. So yeah, it's been a really successful deck. It's been a lot of fun. I think there is some tweaking with these creatures. I mean, it's a bit of a trial and error deck at the moment, but I've had a lot of fun with it. As long as you're happy to think a little bit, you don't just want to run and smash with aggro, I'd say it's actually a pretty fun deck. But anyway, thank you very much for those who watched to the end. I can see how far people watch through. I see the average of how far people watch through, and I can see that a lot of people leave at, like, you know, after they've got the deck list or whatever. So for those who do watch through to the end, I do very much appreciate it. It makes it feel worth going through and making, you know, the stats and running through all those different matchups to try and give you guys a bit of a broader idea of, you know, how the decks play out. So thank you very much for watching. It does mean a lot, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.